I think I did my first flip about 20 years ago.
The disaster or the burnt casserole flip that you went through and experienced.
I see a lot of hoarder houses. I see a lot of ugly houses.
How do you think seeing the end product kind of ties in with, how you start?
Always been very artistic and creative.
Dining experience, like everything went super smooth.
We come in and we buy these distressed properties.
Hey, Angie, so glad to have you here today. Got Angie Chambers. She is she wears so many different hats. She's an extraordinaire realtor. She is also a stager, a house flipper, investor. I'm going to call you an educator as well.
That is correct.
Obviously being part of the KREIA, the local investing chapter that we have here. So just wanted to talk to you about all that kind of stuff today and really get a good deep dive on your unique business and how all the things that you bring to, really to Louisville and our community. I feel like it's much bigger than just your business because of how you show up for people. And I think people are very impressed with what you do as well as use you as a resource. So thanks for coming by today. And really from here, just wanted to go straight into, I think, just the overall process of, you really do a lot of flipping as a kind of a background for your, I guess, overall real estate business. And so really just wanted to get a sense of how you look at that, like what your perspective is, and then just tell me about the whole process.
Okay. Well, thank you, Andy. It is a pleasure to be here with you, as always. I always enjoy your company, and I'm super excited to spend this time with you today. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So yes, I started, it's funny that you say education or educator because I was a teacher for 20 years. I taught kindergarten, first, second grade.
20 years.
Yeah, I know, hard to believe. So I started flipping houses. Probably, I think I did my first flip about 20 years ago when I first started teaching. But it's very satisfying to me, the whole process of seeing a property that's distressed and someone at some point really loved that house, but either for whatever reason couldn't keep up with it, couldn't take care of it. So that's where we come in. We come in and we buy these distressed properties and we make them look beautiful and turn them into something special.
Yeah, kind of bringing back what it used to be.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's one of the coolest things, I think, that seeing the, I guess you have a vision that even ahead of time, right? So you'll see the property. And I guess my question around all of that is, because I don't know how the whole flipping process I've never done personally myself. Mm-hmm. I've seen clients of mine go through that process and like how they handle it. Mm-hmm. I do think that you have a unique ability because of probably the vision you have around staging and everything that you just, maybe it's a natural ability. Maybe you've studied it more. Maybe you just liked it so much that you've put that out there. But how do you think seeing the end product kind of ties in with, how you start even trying to find a property to flip?
Yeah, I think that is very important. A lot of investors don't have that vision and can't really see what it's going to look like. They just know that it's all the numbers make sense. It's a good purchase. They have an idea of the renovation cost and what they can sell it for. So on paper, it looks good, but sometimes they don't always have a clear vision of what they can do with the property, and that just kind of comes with experience and time. But for me, I've always been very artistic and creative. I've always had a passion for interior design and staging. So for me, it's pretty easy to see the vision. And a lot of investors can't see that. But, for me, I kind of look at a property as an agent or a realtor. I go in and I look at it from a functionality purpose. Is this home functional? Is it quirky? Does it flow? If not, what's it going to take to make it functional, first of all? And then I start to think about the aesthetics of it. So what colors might look great in this house? What kind of tile? What type of flooring? Is there an opportunity to put some really cool lighting in here and make it jump out and look a little special?
So are you thinking about that when you see it as a hoarder house and it's full of stuff and
Yes.
there's water everywhere, the roof is busted through, like you can see some of that ahead of time? I'm sure,
Yes.
it probably takes on a life of its own as during the process, of course, but.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of hoarder houses. I see a lot of ugly houses. And, I think I just posted one yesterday that I just walked through, and a lot of the comments right off the bat are, oh my gosh, that gives me so much anxiety. How can you go in that house, and what are you going to do with that? And, that's the thing. I think you just have to go in with a vision. Just don't pay attention to the stuff that's there.
Yeah.
You got to look past the stuff and see what's behind all the trash. So it's hard to envision for some people, but I enjoy that.
It's not for everybody. And I guess, you mentioned the anxiety part. I guess you probably have the opposite, which is excitement. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to take this on, which I've always been told is kind of similar in the brain, like excitement and anxiety are kind of the same. So you're probably having a sense of anxiety, but in a positive way, I guess. So,
yeah, it's a great analogy. A little excitement and anxiety at the same time.
Yeah.
Of
Probably
course.
what makes it fun too.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun. When I see something that's really ugly and messy and trash up to the ceiling, it makes me excited. Even more so, I think, because I know that I'm giving this home a second life, a second chance at life, and making it beautiful again.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so cool too, like to be able to do that for properties that are run down, kind of bring in, and it may be the eyesore for the neighborhood, or, maybe there's even multiple other ones that, they see that happen and they kind of model a little bit after that too. Yes. So I think that's just a way to help. Like really, I see it as a way to improve the overall neighborhood. Yeah, I guess you could say. I'm sure you've seen that in experiences too with flipping a house that might have been maybe the most rundown on the neighborhood. Yes,
I do know that the neighbors typically appreciate that, when they see me doing the work, and neighbors will come by and say, oh, I'm so glad you bought this house. I can't wait for you to get it pretty again. And, it needs a lot of love, and thank you so much for just coming in and taking care of this house.
That's awesome. Yeah. But it's feel good moment.
Yeah.
Well, my background in cooking, right? So I was a chef for over 25 years.
Yes.
And I always like to, throw in a little bit of a connection to food in the conversation.
Of course.
With the whole, flipping process, or like how you're looking at it, how I would relate that to cooking is, you could take a recipe and somebody could follow it like precisely. They go down, looking at all of the details of everything, measuring everything perfectly.
Yes.
And then you got the other side, which is somebody that just goes in there and throws stuff together, sort of like, as coming from the gut, and how does it feel just as they're going along. Do you think there's one way or the other is better as far as how to do that in the flipping world? And then how do you think you fall into that category?
I think initially you have to follow that recipe. You have to make sure the numbers work. But once you get into the property, then I think you can go with your gut.
Go with your gut a little more.
Add some spices here and there.
Okay.
And make it taste a little spicy.
Yeah.
Or add your own touches to it.
That's my favorite way, just with cooking in general.
Yeah.
And that's probably how I would carry over with taking on a property like that, and going through is trying to analyze it as much as you can to make it follow the path of that recipe. But then eventually, just as you go along and see as the stuff gets cleared out and you get more to the final product of seeing it actually come to light, you might start to throw in stuff that just feels a little bit better.
Exactly.
Especially once you get some of the quirkiness or the flow laid out, I would think that you would be able to see things more clearly as it goes along.
Yeah, so you got to start out with that base recipe, as you do when you're cooking a meal, right? Or a special dish. But then once you get that dish prepared, you can go in and add your spices to it.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing, is just kind of taking the base idea, right? Like getting something that is, I guess, works consistently enough, and then from there, kind of throwing in some different flavor and changing that up. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is kind of off in the flipping world, but one thing I still am seeing, and I'm just like so surprised by, is, and I think we even talked about this for maybe even a high-end property at one time, but is the consistency of gray floors and gray walls together. Mm-hmm. I think was like a huge trend, and I still see that carry over now. Yes. And personally, I cringe a little bit when I see that. But I guess everybody's got their own, unique idea.
No gray floors.
Yeah, no gray floors. So what do you think? I guess number one, what do you think is going through their mind? Did they just buy like tons of gray floor?
Yeah.
They have it in storage. They got it at a good deal, or is it just that they just have their process and seeing that today still happening, the same styles?
Yes. So here is the problem, Andy. Investors rely on their contractors, and contractors are not designers.
Okay.
So contractors go to Lowe's and Home Depot, and they buy the contractor grade materials. Sometimes that is in bulk. Like you said, maybe this particular flooring is, maybe this flooring has a good price on it, so they're going to buy it in bulk. They're going to use it in several of their houses. But they don't think about the color and the trend. So if you think about it, gray is not a natural wood color. So, I always recommend let's stick with light woods or dark wood colors, things that are more natural. But gray, you're right. It was a big trend, and we still see it occasionally. And when I see it, and when I'm working with other investors as a realtor, I will tell them, do not use this flooring. It doesn't work. It makes your house look cheap and expensive, and spend a little more money and get some nice flooring.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction, I think, about like bringing in more of the natural colors, and that gray isn't a natural color. I think so having more of those natural colors just feels more normal, or it feels natural, you could say. So I guess on that note, do you ever do any consulting with contractors, or I should say other investors who are doing flips for, hey, like let's do some design thoughts ahead of time? Do you ever do consulting like that for other investors?
Yes, I do. And actually, I love doing that with other investors. I have a few investors that I'd love to work with who really let me come in and pick out their finishes. They'll let me pick out their flooring, the tile, the cabinets, the colors, and I usually work with their contractor, and we collaborate. Sometimes the contractor might be picking out certain fixtures, and they'll text me a few different options and just say, which one do you like? So
that's great. I feel like that's huge to be able to make it come to a place at the end that is coming from your expertise and like seeing finished houses and how you can really polish things up. I think that's a fantastic idea for somebody to do that.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. And as I said, usually the investors are relying on the contractors to pick out the things that go in the house.
Yeah.
And they don't always have a design background, right? They're just picking out whatever they think looks good at the moment or is going to fit in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I think that you just build it into the cost, right? Build it into the recipe, right? So you've got the cost of the house and what that's in there. And it seems like you're probably going to get that back plus, right? Is ultimately, if you're not just going off of maybe the cheapest thing that you can get at Lowe's.
Right. And I think, and I do go in and I'll talk to my investors about the quality of the finishes, especially at particular price points.
Yeah.
Once you get over that particular price point, I'd say $500,000 for $400,000 or $500,000 home, you have to have higher quality finishes. You just have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Or it's not going to sell.
Yeah. Or they're going to take a huge cut somewhere.
Take a huge cut.
So that somebody can go in and replace the brand new items that are in there with the upgraded things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as, your personal flips that you've done, I didn't realize that you've been doing, you did one 20 years ago.
I know.
That's crazy. And especially right when you had started teaching, which is already stressful enough. My wife's a teacher, so I know that experience every August when she's going back to school and how how stressful it is to get that rolling again. So as far as just like the flips that you've done, your experience in that world with what you have had, looking at, have there been some, or I guess tell me about some that have been more of that sort of, ultimately ended up as like the fine dining experience, like everything went super smooth. The process was smooth. Everything just seemed like it was perfect. And then also kind of the opposite side, what's the disaster or the burnt casserole flip that you went through and experienced?
Yeah. The burnt casserole.
We're going to start with that one. Okay.
We're going to start with the burnt casserole. I love that because this home actually did catch on fire.
Oh, okay.
It actually was a burnt casserole. So we had a property that we were flipping, and the construction was fine. The home turned out lovely, and I staged it, and we had showings. And I went over that morning, and it smelt a little musty, so I lit a candle. I lit a couple of candles. We had agents go do showings, and it was my fault. I completely failed to go back over and blow out the candle or to tell the agent to blow out the candle for me. So a couple of days later, I drove by the home and went to go see what was going on, just check things out. And it was black. It was all black. The candle on the mantle had caught the mirror on fire. The frame melted.
Oh, my goodness.
The whole ceiling was black. The walls were all black. It was just awful. Yeah.
Wow. So you actually had
fire damage.
Wow.
Fire damage. So fortunately, the house did not burn down. So eventually the candle burned out and it dissipated. But
okay,
it was a mess. It was a mess. It could have been a complete disaster, but we did have to have a renovation company come in and
oh my goodness,
do it all over, everything, carpet,
well, because of the
walls.
smell, right? The smell was just inundated in every single.
Yeah. So,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that was my literal burnt casserole house, burnt house, crispy house story. In the end, it was a wash, because of the time that we had to take it back off market and do the repairs and fix it all up again. It just, in the end, it was a wash. So lesson learned, do never light candles in your investment property.
Well, that's a good reminder.
Or your listings.
When I go through listings sometimes and I see lit candles in there,
yes.
I immediately go and blow them out.
Yes.
I just I don't want to be the last person to have left. And then, the mirror catches on, the frame of the mirror catches on fire on the mantle. They are always on the mantle, I've noticed, or on like a table.
Or sometimes on the kitchen.
Or the kitchen island or something like that. Yeah.
So that was my horror story, I think. One of my successes, one of my 5-star recipes, I think, was a little house that I had on Becker just last year. This home was...
Is that the all black one on the outside?
The little black house,
that
the
was
Black
the
Beauty.
coolest.
Wasn't it the cutest little
love
house?
That. I think I even reposted that one. I was like, this one is the coolest house.
It was so cute. So that house I got for a steal, and I'm kind of fortunate that I'm on a list for specific wholesalers. We call it a buyer's list. So when wholesalers have these properties, they'll send them out to some of their top buyers. So I just happened to get this one sent to me immediately as soon as it fell in the hands of this wholesaler. And I thought, okay, this is nothing funky about it. It's just a pretty basic layout, your living room, dining room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. And I was out of town, and I knew that this was going to go fast, so I actually sent my contractor to go look at the house for me.
Wow,
and
great.
Trusted him 100% to say deal or no deal. And so I took a big risk there.
Yeah.
Sight unseen. I bought it. Sight unseen. So that was a big risk. But once we got in there, it was one of those things that everything just all the ingredients just came together. And from start to finish, things went smoothly. Things moved quickly. We had all the right contractors. Contractors are your biggest concern, I think, with investment properties. So with this one, all the contractors showed up. We got it done quickly, and it turned out great. Of course, I staged it, and we sold it in a matter of days for over asking price. Yeah, literally. Multiple offer situation.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Little Black Beauty.
Awesome. Ooh, that's a great name. Yeah. Do you name your flips? Yeah. We got the burnt casserole. We got the Black Beauty.
Oh gosh. Oh, we have the murder house.
The murder house, of course.
We won't go into that story.
Okay. Maybe another time we can talk about that one. Off filming, of course.
Yeah. We don't talk about those.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely not going to give out addresses that'll be out there. Yeah.
No.
That's cool. We talked a little bit about your consulting, like you would be open to consulting for investors who are looking to not put gray floors in their homes specifically. So I guess just your overall service that you offer, I've used your services before, definitely plan on doing it again for listings and have had great, just great experiences with staging in general, and have seen how much more attraction it can get for a property. So as far as just like your overall service and what you offer, is that something that's open? Like are people able to call you anytime and get staging services done?
Sure, absolutely. I really enjoy collaborating with other realtors, and that's the way we met, through staging property for you. Yeah. And
we were both sweating when we put that together. It was like, lots of different movement of furniture and things. Cleaning.
Yeah, I remember very vividly that day because, and this is probably one of the reasons why I like you so much, Andy. I could tell right away you were in there helping move furniture. You were in there getting this house ready for the market, and you were mulching that day.
That's right.
You were throwing the mulch down.
I brought my 12-year-old daughter with me, I believe, and we were out there mulching at the listing. Yeah. So whatever it takes, right?
So I love working with other agents from any brokerage. I'm not specific. I don't care where you work. If you have a home that needs some love, then I am happy to come in and do a consultation and walk through with the seller. And that kind of puts the realtor out of the picture as far as being the bad guy. So let me come in and be the bad guy. I will walk through and be honest with the seller or the investor and say, this is what you need to do to get your house ready. Here's your list. These are all the things you need to get rid of. Get rid of the clutter, get rid of the pictures, clean off the counters. Let me come in and add some pillows and pictures and decor, and we'll get it looking great.
Yeah, it seems like you do just like the right touches too. There's a simplicity to it, but it just seems to always, I always know when I walk in, because I've been to multiple houses that you have staged, and I walk in, I'm like, this is Angie's. I just know, like it just is your unique design and how you set things up. It's just, I can just tell. I can tell the difference. So
it's funny. I can't remember if it was you or the agent that messaged me and said, did you stage that house?
Yeah. I think it was me. I think I do remember reaching out specifically.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny that you have almost like a DNA for your unique style and what you have.
So yes, Andy, I do some design consulting, pre-listing prep meetings, and also staging. I do it with investors and other agents. So yes, absolutely.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it seems like you do such a good job. It seems like it's definitely needed, especially as we increase inventory, I think across the board, making your house stand out even more. And then, one of the other things that people are doing are kind of like the higher produced production on videos for their walkthroughs or kind of intros to the properties. I've seen you now do that too.
Yes.
And of course, the property was probably staged, or at least maybe you use some of their existing furniture, because that's something that can be done too, right? They can use their existing decor, and you just maybe modify a little bit to make it stand out.
Yeah, so we do occupied staging and unoccupied staging. Obviously, if it's a flip, it's going to be unoccupied. It's going to need everything But some sellers that are still living in the home, they just need a little fluff to make it stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something we offer too.
That's great. Yeah, I think sometimes it's just people have like lived there for a while, so they kind of got complacent with either their design or their furniture that they inherited or whatever it was. So sometimes it seems like just a few little tweaks can make a huge difference. I've seen that. Yeah.
So recently I have a home that I did a walkthrough. It was a pre-listing appointment. So, just kind of giving this guy some tips on what he could do to get his house ready for the market. As soon as you walk into the house, to the left is the dining room, and it had a pool table in it.
Okay.
It's like, okay,
that's good, right?
This is a typical bachelor house, but let's get rid of that pool table and put a dining table in here. So
nice.
and it made the biggest difference. I go back and look at the before and after pictures, but just small things like that I don't know that sellers really think about. They've got so much going on with their lives that to take the time to really walk through their own house and go, okay, here's a list of all the things I need to get done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's great. They can kind of rely on you. Do you think most people, like most sellers, are pretty receptive to you coming by? Do you get some pushback sometimes on things, or like how does that whole conversation go initially when you do talk to sellers about changing things and putting your own ideas in their property? Really?
Yeah. I think for the most part, most sellers are open. They want their home to sell fast. They want it to sell for more money, and they're willing to listen. And 9 times out of 10, they already know everything that I'm going to tell them or that I'm sharing with them. There might be paint chipping. Let's just do a fresh coat of paint or touch this up. And they know all the things. They just need some guidance. And I also work with a team that can come in and help declutter. And
oh, cool.
Being an investor, I already have a team of contractors.
Yeah.
So I can have my contractors come in, and they don't have to worry about, I don't know who to call to fix this, or I don't know how much it's going to cost to fix this. So that's a great feature, a great
just like overall resource, I guess.
Resource. Yeah, it's a great resource to be able to provide to sellers too.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think that's what really helps. People are going through a lot when they're moving. Yeah. They're not doing it usually all the time for fun, right? They're not going through the pain of putting their house on the market and going through the just like packaging everything up and moving it to a new location. And it's actually one of the conversations that I've started to be a little bit more upfront about when people do say like, hey, I'm interested in looking at properties or moving. And now it seems to be starting to ask the right questions to help them, I guess, to self-discover, right? If that's something that really they want to go through. And because people don't do what, you tell them to do, right? When they're looking at properties or looking at selling, or even like what they're going to do for the price of their home or staging and all that, they really do what they self-discover. And so a lot of it is, navigating and asking the right questions to be able to help them to understand what it is that they really want. And so with the moving process, one of the things that I've been, I think, a little bit more clear about is, the pain of moving. It can be very high in certain situations and circumstances. And so like the pain of moving has to be lower than the pain of staying where they are. So if it, like actually I just closed the property yesterday, and this family, first time home that they purchased, they actually didn't re-sign a lease. And so originally we got under contract in like July. We were out looking at properties in July, and we got under contract not too long after that. And they kept asking me like, are we going to have enough time to get out of our property? I was like, oh yeah. We'll get this, taken care of. We got plenty of time to work it out. Of course, many things went wrong. We were trying to get all of the pieces and parts, ironed out to get to the closing table. But we just closed yesterday, and they have to be out in like 5 days. Wow. So luckily it still worked out. Very thankful to the other lender who finalized the whole process, because we had to switch lenders later in the deal. But just thinking about like their pain of moving, like they didn't want to stay in a rental property anymore. No. They were tired of being with a landlord who wasn't maybe treating them bad necessarily, but wasn't necessarily going above and beyond to try to make sure everything was working in the home, like the air conditioner, for instance. So like that pain was much higher staying there than it was going through months of the, the contract and switching lenders and all this information and stress of all of that.
Yeah.
Actually was lower than them staying where they were. So it's just sort of an interesting thing to notice.
I think that's what sets great agents apart, like you, Andy, is you're having those hard conversations with the buyers or the sellers, and just really digging into why. What's their purpose? Why do they want to move, or why are they looking to make a change?
Definitely.
And getting connected with them on a personal level.
Yeah. That's it. And it can be a challenge, but at the same time, lots of fun. Like that's the part I definitely like the most.
Yeah.
And connecting with people and really, I guess getting another friend and building a deeper relationship with people. Absolutely. And seeing their family, succeed, right? Like getting to something that was painful to now getting into a house. I mean, they sent me a message early this morning that was just like, those are one of the ones that I want to keep and like put on a wall that when I'm feeling bad, like read through these and how much you've changed, people's lives. It's really cool to see. Makes you feel good.
Yes.
And even the stress of real estate and all the pain and challenges that we go through, it's worth going through that to see those on the other side for sure.
100%. We do a lot. We wear a lot of hats. We do a lot of things, landscaping, cleaning, boxing up all the clutter, right? We do all the things, but we do it because we know they're in a tough situation or don't have the time or the resources to do it. So we do what we can to help change their lives.
That's awesome. One of the other things that I've just been very aware of, I think lately is, especially with you and all the different dynamics that you have and what you can offer to, to sellers, to, other investors. And it's just so cool that you collaborate with people and don't have a problem doing that. It's, it's like some of them are your competitors in a way, but at the same time, it's like connecting with them and helping them only really just helps everybody out.
Right.
And one of the things that I think I'm seeing is just a shift in general. And what I think I would like to acknowledge is like the agent of the future has to have more tools in their tool belt, especially when it comes to creative financing, for instance, and having other options for people to not only to sell a home, but also to buy and learning about different ways that can happen. And then I think just also with, investing, knowing a lot about that, also with, some people say it's a bad word, but wholesaling. I think that honestly, I had a seller recently and he said he didn't want to put it on the market.
Yeah.
He said, I want to sell this home, but I don't want I don't want it to be on the market.
Right.
So, what would a typical agent who only lists homes, what would they do in that situation? And so I think having other options for people. So what we did was we gave him a purchase contract that he was very happy with. And so it's just like finding out those kinds of ways to be able to get that sold. And, in those situations too, what's also cool is they don't usually have to pay agent fees. They don't have to pay, closing costs. Like sometimes offering them to pay for their closing costs is a part of it as well. And by the way, all that junk that's in there, all that hoarded stuff, just leave it. You just walk out.
Exactly.
So you can make the situation even better for him. And he knew he was going to make more money going on the market if we just like cleaned it up a little bit, but he didn't want to do that. He was adamant about not doing that. And so I think having the options and having different resources for how they can do that. That's why I call it kind of the agent of the future is just like somebody who can take those different tools out, put those in place and really help people for what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was just having a conversation this morning about a seller that I had helped recently. And when I go in, if their property needs work and it's a little distressed, I give them options. I say, look, here are options. We can list it at this price as is. You don't have to do anything. Walk away. We could list it at this price if you're willing to clean it out and paint, do a little, painting, make it look pretty. Or if you really want to put a little money into it, here's the list of things we can do, and we can probably sell it at market or a little higher just to see, after we stage it and make it look beautiful. I just had that happen, actually, and this seller opted with, I'm willing to put in the money. I don't have the time to do it. Can you bring in your contractors and do the work? And let's see what happens. So we listed it for the number that I told her we could list it at, and we got multiple offers over asking price within 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
So it's just a matter of what that seller is willing to tolerate.
Yeah.
Do they have the resources to put money into it? Maybe they don't, and maybe they don't want to deal with showing the house, like you said.
Yeah.
They have options.
Yeah.
You don't have to. We can sell it, but we're going to sell it for less money, but we can sell it off market or assign it some other way.
Sure. I love that. Yeah. I think that's huge. That really makes, I think, a big difference for people, and I think it will help them remember you, right? And maybe even refer you, which is ultimately, what we want is to do a good enough job that somebody would say, hey, this is, Angie did such a great job for me. She looked out for me. She gave me options. And then ultimately I feel like we walked away with exactly, or even better than, really a better experience than what they had anticipated.
So you touched on wholesalers and how they kind of have a bad name or a bad reputation, but there is a place for them.
For sure.
That lower option, if this seller needs to get out of their house fast, they need the cash, they don't want to deal with the cleanup, they want it as is, then that's where they come in, and they're very valuable. And the good wholesalers are good at what they do. There are some bad ones that give the whole business a bad name, right? But if you think about how much money wholesalers are spending to find these sellers,
it's crazy.
Thousands, tens of thousands a month.
Sometimes,
tens of thousands a month. But look at all the business they're generating for us as realtors.
Yeah.
So why are we in such opposition
absolutely.
to them in the industry when they bring so much business to they're finding the sellers. That's all they do is they go out and find the sellers.
Find the people that have the pain, right? They've got the pain. They have to move. They need to offload the property. Could be vacant as well, of course, but having that something that they need to get done. And so, they're just providing, really, it's just a, what's the word I'm looking for? It is a, it's an option. Just trying to think of a different word than option, but but it's just giving an option, an alternative. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. An alternative of different ways that they can get their property sold and get relieve some of the pain that they've been going through, for sure.
Right.
So I think that's fantastic.
We are all solving someone's problems, right?
Yeah, that's really what it is.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly.
We're solving a problem. We're giving them options, and we're making their life better.
Yeah. So this show's called Real Estate Bites, right? So it's tying in just a little bit of the food, previous history and working in food and how much I love that and real estate as well, and just trying to, bring them together. And most of it is really just to try to stand out a little bit. I mean, any way you can do that, that's ultimately the idea. And then I still love to be able to bring people to my house for, actually to cook them food. I mean, that is one of the coolest ways to connect with people. And, have also been referred business. Of course, that's not the only reason why I do it, but it is just sort of a natural thing that occurs, it seems like, just by loving on people and, and giving them a cool experience. So one of the things that I usually like to ask people is what is the one meal, and maybe you don't have one, maybe it's just a handful of, chocolate or something like that. But what's the one meal, like nobody's home at your house, that you would eat in the kitchen? You don't feel like cooking anything. You would eat in the kitchen, standing up over the kitchen sink. And I can always tell you mine if that helps too.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Mine's probably not everybody's favorite, but it is one of the things that I would probably not eat standing up over the kitchen sink when anybody else is home. And it's I love sardines. So cans of sardines, they're not pleasant to smell if you're not the one eating them. So I love that with just nefarious mustards and cheeses and crackers. Like I will just sit there and plow through that, and that's my meal. Or any really canned seafood,
Yes.
like weird,
Tuna.
or exactly.
Yeah.
All those
Do you
little
eat the smoked oysters out of the can?
yeah, like that, all that stuff,
Yeah.
octopus,
Oh,
they've
my.
got herring, all kinds of different,
Yeah.
smoked fish and things. I love that stuff. So
Yeah.
most of that's going to happen when nobody's home and standing up over the kitchen sink.
Yeah. That's funny. I actually do like sardines.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I
Okay.
do. On a cracker with a little mustard.
Awesome.
It's a delicacy, right?
Yeah. So good. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, I don't feel quite as embarrassed, but
No. I don't mind those. So, I actually probably eat more meals over the sink than I really should.
okay. All right. Well, especially after a long day.
I'm so busy. I'm
Yeah.
on the go. It's either, all right, I'm going to grab something quick. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Gotta go. So always moving. So unfortunately, there's a lot of things I eat over the sink, but canned foods would probably be a big one.
Yeah.
A package of rice, I might throw it in the microwave
Okay.
and just, take a few bites of that.
My dad I think he's actually the one where I learned about just canned seafood in general.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
From your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. It must be like a old man thing.
Maybe.
So, not that my dad's old. He's only 79.
And it was kind of like a delicacy. Friday night, let's watch some movies. Let's get out the cans of sardines and crackers.
That's so funny.
The smoked oysters.
That's so funny. Well, my dad, he takes it to another level, and he will just open up a can of beans and just eat it literally with all the sludge and everything. He'll just eat it straight out of there.
It's like
And
beanie
that's not something I picked up.
It's like
though.
beanie weenies.
Yeah,
I can't beanie.
exactly. Yeah, I have not picked up that habit yet. There's still time, I guess, right?
Another thing is probably just cold cuts. I'll grab some turkey and cheese and crackers and just stand there and make myself a quick sandwich over the sink.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Makes it delicious and got some protein in there, so help you last.
A little protein. Grab some turkey.
So it's going back to the options and real estate and what is available for people. One of the things that I have really been implementing in conversations is really a menu of options, tying in the previous food service and kind of the overall branding. Is I have a restaurant or really a restaurant style menu of options for people. And one of the first things on there is what I call the quick bite, which is actually the cash offer, right? So people are looking for something quick. They just want to get out from under a property.
Yes.
The quick bite is something that they can have at least as an option and to look at something if they do want to go ahead and order that.
Yes.
And then also I think the other big one on there that I'm really trying to develop more and make it more clear for people is, there are ways that people can take a property that they own and they can sell the property and be able to get even more than maybe what they could on the market. It just might be over time, right?
Yeah.
So it might be through what would be called seller financing.
Yes.
And so I like to call that the chef special because every situation is different. And so you're trying to create something kind of out of the unique ingredients that they have for their situation. Yes. So it's the chef special, right, of putting together a seller financing, or even going back to one thing that you had mentioned before is sometimes sellers do want to try to sell on the market, but they don't always have the funds to be able to put into the property to be able to maximize out of it. Yes. And that is another part of kind of that chef special is what is called a novation, right? Yes. So it can be, there's kind of different versions of novations, but technically, you could take a little bit of your funds and resources and put that into a property to help them also maximize the amount of money. And in turn, of course, there would be maybe more for you as well. Yeah. Do you ever do novations? Is that something that you have looked into or have taken on?
I know a little bit about novation. I really have not done that. I think it's an excellent option for investors. I have listed a novation property for a wholesaler before.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a very unique process. She was able to become the POA for the seller and make some of the decisions. And, again, it's like another option on the menu. Yeah. It's a great option if they can't afford to pay for the repairs, and maybe that POA can then go in and help out and do some of those things. So it was an interesting situation, but I think Novation's a great option.
Did it turn out well? Like at the end? You can be honest. Not as well as you'd hoped.
Not so much. No, it was a hard situation because the seller was just having a lot of personal problems, and it was difficult to show the house because he had dogs and we couldn't get the dogs out, and he was never there, and so not the best situation. Yeah, but we tried.
Yeah, those are tough. I actually have an investor that is out of Utah, and he connected with me on Pace Morby's Facebook page.
Nice.
I had put on there one time in the comments that I was a real estate agent in Louisville.
Yeah,
and he found me on there, and we have, I don't know how many deals that we've done together, but basically he just liked he had actually said he had properties here in Kentucky. He said, hey, can you list some properties for me? I do. He didn't call them novations, but essentially it's what it is. But it's kind of like wholesaling on the market, really is what it is.
Yes.
And he acts as the attorney in fact. So not officially a POA or power of attorney, but the attorney in fact.
Gotcha.
In this situation. And so the people just didn't want to deal with it. They didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't want to deal with it. And so he will sign that agreement with them to take on organizing the listing, working with the real estate agent and they list them on the market. So they're not doing them off market.
Right.
They only do on market.
Yes.
So my role has been, when they find properties, is to find an agent in that area that would be willing to work with them to list the property. And then I just take a referral fee from that.
Yeah.
So
it's another great option.
I think I've sent out 25 referrals in the last month to different agents across the nation. Of course, not all of those are going to close, right?
Sure.
There's a very much smaller percentage than what you had sent out. But it still is just an interesting little extra income source. It's been something I didn't know that existed. So just thinking through all the different ways that you can earn money in real estate, there's a bunch.
I think referrals are huge, and it's something that we don't all always think about, but I think it's a great way to make extra income. You don't have to do the work.
Yeah.
And you're getting a percentage of that, closing. So I love doing referrals and being a referral partner.
Definitely. And it really, I think the other agent who is the one listing the property and going through all of the headache of getting it sold, are generally really happy to have had the referral just kind of dropped in their lap, right?
Yeah.
So
sure, it's a win-win all the way around.
Really is, yeah.
It really is. I'm happy to take the 30% if I don't have to do the work.
Right.
I want to be involved, obviously, and stay in the email threads and get all the updates from the lender and the title company, and I want to be involved to know what's going on, obviously, but I'm not the one doing the paperwork or the showings, and so it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's great. As far as just like overall investing in real estate, and just as far as that being a source, so you have rental properties right now?
Yes, I do.
And are you continuing to kind of add to your overall portfolio of rentals? Is that something that you want to continue to take on?
Yes, I do. I have long-term rentals, and I have a midterm rental, which is a furnished rental that I rent out to travel nurses. So I love that space, and I'm actually in the process of looking for more that I can either convert that are already long-term rentals that I can convert into midterm, or finding properties that make sense. They really need to be in a good location that's close to a hospital, because most of those tenants are nurses. So I love the midterm rental. It's the perfect blend of short-term and long-term. You're going to get more money. Your rent's going to be higher because it's furnished and you're paying the utilities, but it's also less turnover, and you have professionals that are staying there taking care of the property. So it's a great space. I love that space.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But right now I'm just kind of working on building capital. So flipping is the best option for me right now. And at some point I will buy more buy and holds. But right now I just enjoy the flipping process. I'm working on tweaking the systems and the procedures to make it all flow and happen faster so that I can turn more.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get you some more rental properties or more of flips, I guess. So, so it sounds like you're open to taking any potential off-market properties that people have if they're, if they've got something either as a wholesaler or even just somebody that knows a property that might be available, even like, probate, something like that, right? People inherit a property or the responsibility. They inherit the responsibility of figuring out what to do with it.
Yeah. So I think some of my best properties come from people who know that I flip. Mm-hmm. The one that I just bought last week was a friend whose grandmother was going into assisted living. And it's a great little house in a great location. And they didn't want to have to deal with cleaning it out and putting it on the market.
Wow.
So she's like, hey, would you be interested in taking a look at my grandmother's house? I was like, absolutely. Yes, let's do it.
It's probably in great condition, just needs updating, right?
Absolutely.
It seems like those are always the case.
Solid house that just, she was a bit of a hoarder. So, it has all the things, but it's going to be so cute when it's all put together. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. So there are different ways to find properties. The MLS, you can find great deals on the MLS, and wholesalers, as we mentioned, and then just sphere of influence.
Just talking to people. Yeah. Letting them know what you do.
Letting them know that you're flipping and buying investment properties, and they reach out.
Well, I'll definitely always keep you in mind. Not doing flipping myself and trying to find, people that I know that will do a really good job and not just put gray floors in there.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one.
No gray floors. I promise. You'll never see gray floors in my flip.
Unless it just happens to call for it for some specific reason, but I'm sure you'd have a good reason behind that.
Yes.
If people come across properties that they find from their grandmother that they may want to reach out to you to see if it'd be a good fit.
So yes, if anyone knows of any properties or has relatives who just don't want to go on market, definitely reach out to me. AngieChambersHomes.com is my website. I'm on Instagram, AngieChambers.2, and I'm on Facebook, AngieChambers.31. And also, I can be reached by phone, 502-387-2298. So, I appreciate anybody. I appreciate referrals, and to anyone who has homes that they don't want to put on the market, we can take care of it.
Awesome. I love that. You give lots of different options for people, and I think it just makes sense to contact you to be able to just discuss through what those could be. And then obviously they can make that decision to move forward. No obligation, right? So it's just a conversation.
That's right. Yeah, conversation.